let's make the target variable ID. And rather than enter ID numbers like 1 through 96, which would be a pain in the neck, we're gonna have SPSS do it for us. So from this function group, now we're gonna select miscellaneous. Where is miscellaneous? So from the function group option, so that's miscellaneous. And see where it says $ case number? Choose $ case number, double click on it. And then just click OK. And boom, if you look all the way to the right in your data set, everybody has an ID number. Isn't that nice?
Say that one more time.
Huh?
You just say that one more time.
Yeah, so I did transform compute ID, made an ID number. And from function group, I chose miscellaneous, and from the function that's in special variables, a case number. And then I clicked OK, and it did it.
Double click it.
Double click.
Without selecting any.
Just, yeah. All right, now, notice that it thinks, see how it thinks ID is scale? That's problematic because ID isn't really a variable that we want to average. ID is a numerical name that we're giving each person. So I'm calling you number 1, I'm calling you number 5, I'm calling you number 10, right? It needs to be nominal, right? So let's go back into variable view and scroll down and correct that because we don't want to accidentally include ID numbers in our analyses. So let's make it impossible to do that. Let's have SPSS block us. So we're going to change ID from numeric to string. So even though it's numbers, we're using the numbers as a name, right? And then all the way to the right, it should have changed to nominal with no decimal places. Is everybody with me? Okay. So it should be ID should be string and nominal with no decimal places. Once you change it to string, it should change the others automatically. Yep. All right, let me set other people up to do one thing and I'll be right over to help you. All right, so everybody over here good? Everybody good? No?
No, I didn't see what you did.
What I did where?
Like what you just said, because I was hoping.
I get over with that part.
Okay.
So my thing took forever to load, so I didn't get any of it.
You guys, hold on for a
I got
second.
rid
Let's
of the
just so we don't have multiple conversations, Nicole, it's great that you want to help, but I think a few people might have the same question. Where are you stuck?
But you just said the number.
What I did here?
Yeah.
Okay, so ID, originally it was numeric, and so it was treating the ID numbers as a numeric value that we could actually analyze and do averages on. And I just changed it to string.
Oh, the variable
All right.
view.
Yeah, in the variable view at the bottom. And so in changing it to string, now it's changed it to nominals, now it's treating the numbers like names. And then what you can do is go back to data view and just drag and drop this ID variable, just highlight it and drag and drop it all the way to the beginning of the data set so that it's at the beginning. And now the ID numbers will sort with the data. And this kind of goes to what you were talking about, Sharif, when you sorted your data accidentally. Now we'll be able to refer to the participants by numeric name. So for example, if somebody's a weird outlier on something, we'll be able to say, what's going on with participant number 11?
Where are we putting it?
That's where it says numeric. Click the box. You're gonna change it to string.
Where do you want us to?
So,
We'll just drag it, so you're gonna press and drag. Yeah.
Oh, I copied and pasted it. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can copy and paste
Oh,
or drag and
right.
drop, whatever is easiest for you.
What do you want it next to?
One's up in the front if you want new
Just put it
ones.
at the beginning.
All the
Just
way?
get it right at the beginning.
Yeah, that.
Mine is seriously still.
Oops.
Yeah, just go, yeah.
And she just wants to drag it all the way to the beginning. Which, to do that, all you wanna do is, literally just like click this and you can like try to drag it.
So should I go all the way to the beginning again? Come all the way to the
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you just drag it. Like, I want to drag this one all the way to the front, I would just do it
Okay, what do you want to drag?
Oh, the ID one that we just did. So it should be all there.
That person that we deleted,
Yeah.
anything that we've already
we
considered the
already-
meaning of, will it alter that, or is that
If
now?
we didn't calculate, oh, I see what you're saying. We did not calculate the needs of everybody yet. We didn't calculate the scores for each person.
Right, but if we had done.
If we had already done all of our analyses, we'd have to do it over
So,
again
okay.
without them.
You gotta like get all this.
Right, so that's why you've got to pay so much attention to the data cleaning,
cut
it's
it.
the foundation,
Yeah.
right? Once you start analyzing your data,
It didn't cut though.
you have to start from the beginning again.
Yeah.
And that's why that script becomes so helpful.
Yeah, no, everything. So I was, tooling around in the I ran
Yeah.
this through it,
Of
and it's like, it's not as straightforward, cause like it's, if
Go ahead.
you're doing certain things, it's like you have to.
The data sheet, I find just mine them for data preparation.
Yes.
Right, so I don't like it for data preparation at all. For data analysis, it's wonderful, but for the data preparation,
Like this
yeah.
beginning stuff we're doing
And so,
is
so
very.
generally, they recommend you do all your data preparation in Excel and then forward it to Jazz, because it's just like, you can do it, but it's just like.
So,
And go down and find.
should I definitively get Excel? Cause I only use the, like, iWorks suite right now. where
If
it's,
you
like,
want,
pages
you
and
can
stuff.
use, while you're in school, you can go to the
Oh, it's at the top.
Portal, and you can use Excel, and you can get Excel for the university.
So you change like
Right.
the little.
But down the
The
road,
thing on,
yeah, down the road, Excel is like really big. But also, I'll show you, later in the semester, I don't want to spend time now, but there's three versions of Specialist.
If you were interested.
Thank you.
One of them is these guys.
Oh, she wants to do. Go to the.
So far, we didn't get too far.
Wonderful. Love that. And just go straight.
Yeah, it's like
So, you
loading.
know what, here,
There's a fast down. Somewhere else on the website. Yeah, so it's like an option there.
oh, you can.
Right? You signed that straight.
But you can come right into the research, right? But I think like for the sometimes the dragging and dropping is stuff.
I feel like I'm missing stuff.
There's different.
It's not cutting though.
You're gonna have to close it.
See, SPS it has indigestion.
I have a little bit. I don't think.
I don't know.
Just close it. It's just, you gotta close it.
I don't think my page
Or was
is
it this one? It was one.
doing any of the stuff that I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's showing anything that
It did, it showed that you,
it did for this thing.
Oh, it was this one. It was this one.
Okay.
yep, that you did case number.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so let's, I think, everybody, but what's happened, last year on SPSS has indigestion. This happens periodically, when a lot of people are using SPS, sometimes one of the terminals will just get stuck. If that happens, don't freak out, just restart your computer, follow along with somebody else for a while until we can get you caught up, right? The good thing about Lab 1 is we're all doing the same thing, we just don't wanna leave anybody in the dust, all right? With Lab 2, everybody in your group will be doing the same thing, right? And so they'll just be, we just wanna make sure that all the lab groups are together. Okay, so we have one more little bit of data preparation to do, and then we can do our analyses, yay. You'll see when we do the analyses are gonna be so straightforward. The last thing we need to do is to make sure that our measures are internally consistent, that they're reliable, that we don't have error in our measure. Now I chose, established measures for each of these variables. So for example, for the PANAS, I didn't make up those questions, you didn't make up those questions, Steger and his colleagues made up those questions. And if you go into Blackboard, in the folder where you've got the measures, you see there's the Steger et al. Article that reports all of the psychometrics on how they tested the validity and reliability of that instrument to show that it measures things well, which is why I didn't want to change it, even though it bothers me that it doesn't have a no feeling point, right? We're using it with fidelity the way it was demonstrated to have good construct validity. Are you with me? Yep. Okay. However, it's possible that in our sample, there might have been some error in the measurement, right? So maybe people, like, I don't know, some people didn't understand the words. Like in our lab when we used it, some people didn't understand the words. And so it's possible that the words that were all supposed to measure positive affect would hang together to all measure positive affect. The words that were supposed to measure negative affect didn't necessarily hang together to measure negative affect. Remember that the question of reliability of an instrument when you have multiple items that make up the measure is how consistently are people responding across the items that are supposed to measure the same thing. If we're supposed to be measuring appleness, then all of the items should be different types of apples. Macintosh, Gala, Red Delicious, Yellow Delicious, Fuji, all different, we shouldn't have a pineapple in there, right? If we do, if we have something, it's like one of these things is not like the other, right? If we have something that doesn't belong, there's error in the measurement, right? If we have an item that people are not understanding well, there's error in the measurement. And what is error? Our enemy, right? Anytime there's error in our study from whatever form, it's going to increase the likelihood of ending up having a type 2 error where we missed the boat, we didn't find what we were looking for, right? And in this case, what we're looking for is to try to get an accurate picture of adults' affect and sense of purpose in their life, right? All right, so the first thing we have to do is do some test of the internal consistency of our measures. And does anybody remember from chapter 5 what test we would look at if you have, there are different tests of reliability. So there's test-retest reliability, right? If you're testing whether something's stable over time, right? There's inter-rater reliability if you have observational measures and you want to see whether the raters agree with each other, right? And then there's internal consistency, right? If you have multiple indicators of the same thing. So internal consistency is what we want to do here because we have multiple items, multiple indicators of the same overall construct. Does anybody remember what statistics it mentioned that we would want to look at for internal consistency? There are a few ways to look at it.
Something about the alpha level?
Yes, excellent. All right, so the one summary statistic that summarizes it all is what's called Cronbach's alpha. Now this is just one of those things. There are a few things in research methodology that drive me crazy. One is that we have like internal validity, construct validity, like all these different validities, and then within validity, you have validity and reliability. Like there's a redundancy of the use of terms, right? So you have to remember that when we're talking about construct validity, you have to look at the validity and the internal, and the reliability. The other thing that drives me crazy is that you've got the overall alpha level of a study that we want to have a 0.05 or lower. And then we have Cronbach's alpha, which is different type of alpha, right? Cronbach's alpha refers to the internal consistency of a multiple item measure, right? So it's different from the alpha level for the study. And the Cronbach's alpha is just a statistic that summarizes, basically in plain language, how confident you can be that you've minimized error, right, in your study. So we want that Cronbach's alpha to be high. We want it to be above 0.80, and mathematically, this is not completely accurate, but conceptually, you can think about it. If you have a Cronbach's alpha of 0.80, right, then you can say that you've got 80% accuracy and you're allowing 20% error in the measurement due to people's individual interpretations of the item, individual feelings, variations in individual differences. That's still a lot of error, right, in that measure. So for that reason, we want the Cronbach's alpha, we want it as high as possible. But 0.80 or around 0.80, that's like acceptable. Once you get below that, then you've got to really consider whether or not your measure is actually reliable. And even if it was shown to be reliable in the original source document, the original Stager studies, maybe for some reason in your sample it's not being as reliable and you have more than normal error in your particular sample. So for example, here, the average rating level of first-year students is very low, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys know it, but you guys are survivors. Like, we have a huge attrition rate. Over 50% of students don't make it to where you are. And a lot of it has to do with lack of preparation. So a lot of first-year students don't read very well. The average reading level of first-year students here is around 6th grade, right? It's astonishing. And so we have students come into our lab and we take something like the PANAS and they don't understand the words. And sometimes they'll ask for a definition, we can clarify, but sometimes they just do it and I have no idea what's going on in their head. So maybe one reason we might have more error in our measure of affect in our studies here when we use the PANAS has to do with the vocabulary. Does that make sense? Right, so before we start using those affect variables to draw some conclusions, let's go in and see how confident we can be that we're reliably measuring the construct. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm going to show you how to do this analysis. It's a scale analysis. We're going to use this satisfaction with life variable to do it. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at 3 things. We're going to look at inter-item correlations. So how correlated are the items with themselves? Because if all of them are measuring appleness, then if somebody likes apples, they should be scoring high on all of them, right? If somebody hates apples, so they should be scoring lower on all of them. We should see that the items are correlated with one another. But that's a lot of numbers, right? Then we're gonna look at the Cronbach's alpha, which is that one number. We wanna see a high Cronbach's alpha. And then we'll see if we deleted one of the items, whether we can improve it. So maybe there's a bad apple in the basket, right? So let me show you how to do it, right? I'm gonna show you something that works, and then I'm gonna show you something that's garbage, so you can see the difference, and then you're gonna look at your own variables. Everybody with me about what we're doing? Okay, so to do the Cronbach's alpha, instead of the transform menu, because I'm not manipulating the data anymore, now I'm actually starting to analyze the data, right? I'm gonna start to use the analyze. And I'm gonna do analyze, and I'm gonna go down to scale, and I'm gonna do reliability analysis. And so now I'm gonna work with the satisfaction with life items. When we're doing reliability analyses, we're back at the item level. We're not using our variable that we created. We want to use the items that comprise the variable to see whether they're hanging together. So I'm gonna go back into those variables. And I'm gonna find all of the satisfaction with life items. So I'm just gonna go back down to, I've got 5 of them, right? So in most ways, my life is closest to perfect, conditions of my life are perfect, I'm satisfied with my life. So far I've gotten the best out of my life, and if I could move my life over again, I would do the same thing. So I've got 5. The 5 items, not the variable, right? And then I'm gonna go to statistics.
Oh, it's,
And I'm gonna choose correlations
So you're gonna be using.
and scale if item deleted. All right, so why don't you guys all do this?
Oh,
Go to the analyze menu, choose scale and then reliability analysis. Choose the 5 satisfaction with life items,
in most ways.
and then under
emotions are
statistics, kind of move these around, so whoopsie. Under statistics, choose correlations and scale of item deleted.
correlations.
Yeah, I just want to show you, there are a lot of other things we could do here that are much more advanced, depending upon what type of data we had. And, Sharif, if you're in JASP, this is where it automatically reverse code for you.
Oh, awesome.
So, yes.
What are we doing after we transfer those 5 items over?
Then
What
you're
screen are
going,
you
then
on
you
now?
click on the statistics window, little statistics button,
Okay.
and choose correlations and scale of item deleted. And you guys, I've created a handout for you for all of this for future reference, so that when you're doing your later labs, you don't have to remember all of this, all right? I didn't want you to have it in front of you, because then you'd be lost in your handout, okay? But for lab 2, I've got a manual.
No.
Okay? Okay, so, everybody with me? Okay, so now I'm gonna click continue. And you see where it says alpha? That's just telling it to calculate the Cronbach's alpha. So that's the default. All right, now I'm gonna click OK. And now it's in my output window. Now you're seeing your first results here, all right? And let's make this big. Why didn't it do, okay. So here's what I've got here. The big number that I really care about is this Cronbach's alpha, right? So the Cronbach's alpha, it's telling me it's 0.875. This makes me very, very happy. It's above 0.80. It means that I have less than 20% error in my measurement, right? I'd still like it to be higher, right? But it's definitely okay, right? This is just if I standardize the items. So let's say I made them all Z-scores. I'd eliminates a little bit of error. And it's just, again, telling me the number of items. You know, that's a good check. I got all 5 items there, right? So yeah, this is what I'm gonna report. So in your lab report, in that paragraph that you create about your measures, the last sentence should be the Cronbach's alpha for your measure. So you're not ready to write this down because we don't have satisfaction with life in your lab report. But when you start analyzing, doing the scales for your positive affect, negative affect, presence, and searching, you're gonna wanna report the Cronbach's alpha for, in our study, what it was, because it's gonna show the reader the extent to which we had error in our measurement.
So how can we fight for number 9? I have like 2 questions.
I have different statistics than she does. That shouldn't be right, right? We should all.
That should not be right. Does
Yeah.
everybody have 0.875?
Yeah.
The only thing I'm thinking of is because he wasn't here for certain statistical like things.
I know, but he's got the same data.
I deleted
Oh.
the 17-year-old person.
Oh.
It's so weird. Does anybody else have anything else?
It lags, but it's 1%.
Does everybody else look at, the inter-item correlation matrix?
Mhm.
For the first correlation over, do you have 0.774?
I have that.
You have? Okay, use her numbers. Do it on your computer, but use her numbers
Okay.
for your report,
Okay.
okay?
I don't have that data table, the second one, intern item correlation.
Okay, do you have it, Jordan?
Yeah.
Mine's wrong.
Oh.
Did you delete that one first?
Inter-item,
Yeah.
inter-item.
That's gonna help me.
Do you mind if I take it?
I think mine is all the same. Is yours all the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait, yeah, no it is. I was nervous because about that one person.
Correlations, yeah.
Sure, you seem like you kind of know about this.
You were just missing one thing.
No.
Try.
So
Okay.
I did her the thing for her when she
Right,
was
while
here,
I'm
and
answering
then I
questions from
deleted the
some
other
people,
person, and then I fixed the
Everybody
other-
look at this
Okay.
inter-item correlation matrix. Matrix.
Down here, I
Right.
changed it.
This is a
Still 97,
correlation
so I just made
matrix.
it 96%.
Correlation
Which is
matrices
good,
have,
right?
are mirror versions of each other above and below what we call the diagonal.
I did
So
it
here
with the
we've got our
person, and then
items,
give them
and here we've got our
90.
items.
I did Dave every
1.0
Yeah,
means
that's what I
that
thought.
this item is perfectly correlated with itself. People who said 7 on this item said 7 on this item, that's obvious because it's correlating with itself, right? So that's why it's a perfect positive correlation.
Oh.
And then, so that's
It's like a
the
little bingo.
diagonal. Do you see the diagonal?
Yeah, it's like a little bingo.
Right, exactly. Okay. So you can just read above the diagonal or below the diagonal because they're mirror images of themselves. So I like to go above the diagonal. So this is saying that this item, my life is close to ideal, was correlated 0.77 with the conditions of my life are excellent. That makes sense. That's a strong positive correlation. People who say their life is ideal also said that their conditions of their life are excellent. People who said their lives are not ideal said that their conditions weren't. It's not a perfect correlation. There's some variability. Some people said their life is excellent, but the conditions aren't good. That's kind of wacky, but there wasn't a lot of that, just a little of it. Strong positive correlation. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing nice, strong positive correlations among all of these items, meaning that people pretty much agree from item to item. There's some lower correlations here, but they're still positive, right? And anything like 0.4 or above, we're like thrilled in the social sciences. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? Right. So that's one way we're seeing, this is the inter-item correlation, we're seeing agreement across items. We're not gonna report all those in this paper, there's just too many numbers, that's why we summarize it with the Cronbach's alpha. The other thing that we're seeing here is, if you go to the item total statistics, this is showing me that if I deleted one of these items, would I be able to get the Cronbach's alpha up higher than I have with all 5 of them? And what you see is the only thing I would gain is if I deleted the, if I could live my life over again item, I can get back up to I could get up to a 0.90, right? So there's a fair argument to be made that that item may be adding some messiness, right, to the data, but because our alpha level is above acceptable, I would not mess with this, right? Because I'm using an established measure, right? If my alpha level was below 0.80 and I saw something like this, I'd be like, get that item out, I'd throw it out and I'd recalculate my scale score. Does that make sense? Good? Right, I saw some questions over here.
Why did it exclude one person? Why did it exclude one person? If you scroll up a little bit, it says the number of people, one person included. Why did she do that?
So that's why I was wondering, she definitely was the one to go with her. I think she didn't have to take this class. She said.
Oh, you know what?
That was like, her terminology was so weird.
She was explaining everything to us and we were like, yo, look, you got this. No,
We were like, I was there first and I was like, I
No,
don't
no, remember she was here, she was here in 2 weeks.
So that messes the whole thing up. So that person gets excluded.
But I want to ask.
Still want the meaning of other things if we wind up concluding.
I mean, we could actually, I mean, it's.
Oh, he just didn't fill out that one question. Oh, okay.
It's true. And then we
Okay,
made our
so
things
can we all
up.
agree?
That's what Dow
If
Light
satisfaction
did.
with life was a variable in our in your lab one, we'd be pretty good with just, let's just use that satisfaction with life variable because it's good, it's valid, it's reliable. We don't have a lot of error, and we report our Cronbach's alpha of 0.875. Good? Let me show you what it can look like if it's not good, all right? And then we're gonna look at your own data. Okay, so let's go back. Let's look at the chocolate items, okay? Actually, no, first I'm gonna show you something horrible, and I'm gonna show you something.
Oh, I'm scared.
Okay, so let's just, I'm just gonna do this. You don't have to do it because I think it's gonna be too much to wrap your head around. I'm gonna go to scale and I'm gonna go to reliability analysis. And I'm gonna reset it. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one item from each of the measures, okay? So now basically I'm creating a hodgepodge of satisfaction with life, chocolate, positive, I'm just randomly selecting things, okay? Positive affect, negative affect, presence in life meeting, and searching in life meeting. This should not have a good Cronbach's alpha, right? Because it's not all measuring the same thing. It's not even all measuring subjective well-being because I've got chocolate in there, right? So the Cronbach's alpha should be crap, right? Let's just see. So I'm gonna go.
Is it better for me to sit closer this way? Or?
What?
Whatever's more comfortable for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to my statistics. I'm gonna
Okay, no worries.
scale item deleted. It'll be a numerical if it's anything good. 0.178. So see, SPSS does not lie. Statistics don't lie if you do them right. They lie if you want them to, right? All right, so why is it 0.178? Because these things do not belong together. They're measuring just a whole bunch of different things. They don't all converge on the same latent construct, right? And let's see what had happened if I eliminated some items, right? Look at my correlation matrix is a mess. I've got negative correlations. Things are inversely related to one another. I've got a 0 correlation between dark chocolate and attentiveness. Interesting that dark chocolate and life meaning is, that's good for us dark chocolate makers. But like, look at this. Even if I eliminate an item, the highest I can get my Cronbach's alpha is 0.409, right?
But those things on the top are still in like bingo. You know what I mean? So that, like, I thought that meant that those were because
Well,
those
so
those
this is the-
questions
on the top,
correlated.
This is measuring. This is
How they correlate
Oh, with
each
each
other.
other. Oh, that's why the.
Right,
Oh,
so
okay,
you
okay,
always should
okay.
you should always have
Okay.
a diagonal that is
Bingo.
1.0 because it's
Okay.
everything with itself.
Okay.
And you can actually tell SPSS to only show you above the diagonal.
So that's the test comparing the questions to each other. That
It's
bingo.
each test with itself.
Yep,
is
okay.
what
Okay.
It should be, it's identical, right?
Sorry, I have like
Okay, so do you
dyslexia. It's
see,
hard for me
like,
to.
So Cronbach's alpha, that's bad, right? And the reason it's bad is there's error in the measurement because it's not all measuring the same thing. Alright, let me show you something that's kind of meh, alright? So I made this measure of dark chocolate. So I'm gonna go back to scale and reliability analysis. I'm gonna reset it. And let's just look at how my dark chocolate thing is working. So remember my chocolate liking. So I've got dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate, and then remember I had that reverse scored chocolate item? So I'm gonna use the reverse scored from a version of it. Remember, don't use the original one. And I've gotta change that to scale, but I think it'll be okay here. And then I'm gonna do correlations and scale item deleted. So now I have my 4 items, not included the original reverse item. I'm gonna click continue. And let's see how well my little made up chocolate scale worked. Not so well.
420.
0.42. All right, so this means that if I say that I'm measuring chocolate liking, I can't really put all 4 of those items together in a meaningful way. There's just a lot of error there. And I can look at this correlation matrix to give me a sense of what's going on here. And it looks to me like milk chocolate and white chocolate are different from dark chocolate. Like dark chocolate is a different thing. Do you see? Here, like dark chocolate is not correlated with milk chocolate and white chocolate, right? Milk chocolate and white chocolate are correlated with each other a little bit, and with the liking chocolate, but it looks like dark chocolate isn't correlated with the others, and that kind of makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but I like dark chocolate a lot, and I really hate white chocolate. It's just too sweet. Like it actually makes my teeth hurt. And now that I'm a dark chocolate person, I like don't even like milk chocolate that much, right? So to me, like all chocolates are not created equal, right? You know what I mean? And that's kind of what this is showing. And so if you get something like this, if we look down here at what happens if an item is deleted, even if I delete the dark chocolate item, I only get up to 0.586 with my alpha level, my Cronbach's alpha, right? So I buy myself a little bit more internal consistency, but not enough. So if you end up in a situation like this really bites. Because what it means is that your scale is not working the way it's intended, it's not reliable. There is too much error in your measurement, in your study. To measure things at the variable level, you have to go back and analyze things at the item level. All right, so imagine that you were gonna do one t-test on people's satisfaction with life, testing the difference between, I don't know, men and women, right? Now I can't do one t-test on dark chocolate between men and women. Now I would have to, on chocolate liking between men and women, I would have to do 4 t-tests. Dark chocolate, light chocolate, milk chocolate, and chocolate liking, right? Which means that I'm gonna have a lot more analyses, right? Means that I'm going to have a lot more possible capitalizing on chance in my data, right? Because each of those is gonna have an alpha level of 0.05. Do you see what I'm saying? It really weakens your study, right? The solution is to go back to the item level, but it really dilutes your study. Are you with me? All right, so now let's see how you guys are. So you should know enough at now, so you should be able to look at the Cronbach's alpha for each of the variables in your study. You've got 2 aspects of affect, presence and positive and negative. Remember, you're gonna do the positive items for positive affect, negative for negative affect. And then you're gonna look at presence of meaning in life and searching for meaning in life. See how well they hang together, right? I'll let you do that and I'll just float around and answer questions. I already have done this, so I know what we're doing.
Okay, she wants to do what we just did.
Remember, you're gonna wanna make notes of this because the Cronbach's alpha should be in your lab report.
What did you say again to compare?
Do the reliability analysis for your positive affect, negative affect, life meaning search, life meaning presence. Remember, you're working at the
Positive
item level,
affect.
so you gotta go back into those items. Do not include the variable itself.
Negative
Whether it's a reverse
affect.
scored item like item 9, for the
Certain presence,
presence, only use the reverse word I have. Do you have the sheet?
Okay, yeah.
Wait, I have an extra thing at the bottom.
Positive affect, negative affect.
What is that
all
about?
The other ones?
Search presence.
Why do I have an MLQ search and a search?
MLQ, search and MLQ presence. So you need the handout here because you need to know.
Did I do something wrong at the end?
So you're gonna do
I think I named them wrong.
positive affect.
Oh, I have two of the same.
MLQ presence. And the
Do you?
Okay.
Where did that come from?
Because it only all the positive words.
Yeah.
That might.
Yeah, interesting.
Alerts positive. I thought it was negative, but it's not like forced to be alert.
These are all the same? Okay, I'm just gonna delete this one.
Proud mommies.
Yes.
Okay, so analyze. No. Analyze.
Scale of item deleted.
You gotta, yep, so.
I tend to do that,
Oh.
especially if I'm on piece of paper.
What's yours?
We're gonna scale.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I guess we were doing the same thing.
What was yours? Negative
Positive or
414?
negative?
It's negative for
Did
me.
you, no, did you pick the positive affect or the negative affect?
Oh, no, we're supposed to do both of them.
What?
Did you say we're supposed to do positive and negative affects?
Separately.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, if you did them together, you should get gobbledygook, because
Yeah.
I did get gobbledygook, yep.
that's why they're separated.
That makes sense.
Wait, hold on.
Can we-
So we can just delete this out of here, just clear this one out, right?
No. No.
Just pull it back over.
Just what?
Go back to the analyze thing. Go to the scale
Get out of
thing.
your positivity.
And that stuff is still over, so just take one of them and pull it back over there. Just click it, pull it, drag it.
No.
Oh, okay, so we're doing positive versus presence.
Yes,
search,
yeah,
and
yeah.
negative versus
Do all of the positive things from the list. Yeah.
Oh,
Do all these
okay.
positive ones and do all the negative ones.
Separately.
Gotcha.
Then you would do the,
Just click reset.
Okay. Oh, they're all ordered correctly, right?
Alert, yeah.
And then not positive affects.
Yeah.
No.
And remember that you need to do the reverse chord of item 9 to have a sense of purpose.
Where?
Oh, positive affect is 1, 3, 5.
oh, is that what I messed up?
One of these.
But I thought we were doing positive or negative affect.
Which one did you do? Positive or negative?
So for the first one, I choose positive, and then which one to
Mine also. I think mine are. 801, yeah.
0.797, okay, perfect, perfect.
positive effect or
I did positive, yeah, and it came up with the 0.797.
questions, I thought.
Look at the meaning of
You did positive?
Are we running out of
Alright,
I think I'm gonna do both of them anyway.
Separately.
yeah.
Yeah, they take the.
Just because I need the experience, I feel like.
So this was correct.
Can you say that one thing about the reverse scoring one more
Yeah,
time?
if you look at, in the meaning of life questionnaire, for sense of purpose for that presence scale,
Uh-huh.
item 9 has to be reversed. So remember, when you do the scale analysis, you use the reverse chord version of that item, 9.
No, you did presents because the reverse.
So I think it's,
It's meaning of life scale.
if you look at the meaning of life, item number 9 is, my blank has no clear purpose. We created a reverse scored version of that. Use that in your reliability analysis.
What did you get for the negative? On the 8 point something.
Negative
Point
works.
854? Yeah, so then we do the.
Yeah, 0.854, the positive
So
does
your
not work.
statistics.
Yeah, the positive doesn't work. The positive is negative something.
Scale if items are needed, so the one
It's
below
like,
that.
you did, positive.
And then positive.
If you find something that
think
has
it's on
an
there.
alpha, run that
Oh, yes,
below
it is.
Yeah, 17.
0.80, look at the inter-item correlations, look at the scale of items related, see if you can figure out
What did you get for negative?
why it's not working. Where is it
For
working? See if you can find
negative,
this
I got
over here.
0.854.
Beautiful. And now what are we doing? Just everything on the week on the
Comparing,
right?
we're looking at the
Inter-item.
inter-item.
So
Point
is
eight five,
it,
that's good.
is it counting the ones that are perfect or is it discounting those? 'Cause
Remember
it would
for
obviously.
presents, the 9 is.
It does, it discounts those, so it's looking at just among, like,
Yeah.
not with each other, with each other, but among all the others. What's the pattern? Is it strong, weak, and
I
is
would,
it nice
I
and
would
tight?
say that if it included the ones that would like.
It should, yeah.
Also, you had done something in Transform that, I didn't get to.
And then
We turned this up.
so you added all of the
Yeah.
items to everything else besides.
Did I add the item, did you
added
add the
the
items?
five.
No,
Oh,
I
okay,
Like
so
the things
do
they asked
compute
for
new
the
variables,
and then I added all the positive.
and to call it ID, type in ID. And then go down here to miscellaneous, so pull down to miscellaneous. And then
Yeah, the only
choose
thing that we're
this
calculating right
case
now.
number,
Just
double
those
click it.
words, yeah, words.
Yeah, so next
And
time.
then just run it.
Alright,
so
you're
doing-
doing. Reset and
Click
it'll like.
OK. Alright, now all the way over on the right, it'll have an I ID kinda wish you number. did give us the handout.
Right.
Just we can say,
Just pull that over
Yeah, and then we
to
do that
first,
for
and
negative.
that's, now it's given everybody a
Okay,
login.
so I'm gonna do search just so I don't have to do this
It's
repeat.
gonna continue to keep pulling over.
Okay, then we're doing MLQ presents and MLQ
Oh, yeah, we
search.
did that.
And which one are you doing first?
How are you guys doing?
I think we're
The
okay.
one
That one, and then it's correlation.
I am looking, I am always looking.
Yeah, see, look at positive, it's just, we're gonna call that marginal. It's right on the cusp, look at the correlation.
What's the-
Looking for something.
That explains what we've got, why we got what error.
Jan Live meeting.
My life has a very sense of purpose.
Alright,
No.
let's see.
I'm gonna say I deleted.
I'm also just
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot, I didn't use your numbers anyway.
No, I can't get it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just did the entire thing and I still have 97 in myself.
Better than that.
But I still want to try that.
Okay, so this one, so for that,
I was like, oh, maybe.
where's this label? Did you write it down?
Let me also
Like,
maybe.
no, so like alpha
And then 9 is.
So you'd be
like
like,
when you do, you can see analyze, scale.
So we do the reverse, so we do computer purpose reverse.
Yes, that weird
I
one.
think that was the conspiracy theory.
Oh, I know
They drink blood.
Yeah, 0.797.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
This is the same all night.
Oh no.
I changed her data.
7, that's good.
So like, yeah, she's doing really.
Okay, so we get the one that we just did. Yeah. Eight, nine.
But there's more. Wait, no, it's not.
I always have the same problem. Like, how much of the picture did I take out?
Positive.
Am I supposed to put the MLQ search thing in here?
So.
No, don't
No.
put the variable itself, just the items that make up the variable.
Okay.
No,
And then what if we were to
So the, yeah.
I guess that would be higher.
Don't ever hit.
So you should have, when you've finished all these analyses, you should have 4 Cronbach's alphas, right? And one of them,
I did.
3 of them should look good. One of them should look what we call marginal. For positive affects, I got 797, I think it's, right?
Yeah.
Right, and so, so that's right on the cusp. We would call that marginally
Is that what we got?
Right?
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of think about why. That means that in that particular measure, we've got some errors. So we'll talk about that in a second when everybody's done. Well, if you're finished, look at the inter-item correlations for the positive items and compare the inter-items for the correlations for the positive items with inter-item correlations for the negative items. and then look at the words, and I think there's an explanation for why there's more error in the positive affect than in the negative affect. Look at the words and think about what might be going on there in terms of the vocabulary. Because remember, if the Cronbach alpha is low, that means that there wasn't consistency in how people were responding across all those items. So if somebody said that they were very alert, they didn't necessarily also say that they were very excited.
There's 10 more.
I'm gonna butcher
They're all
this.
in
Is
order
it
too.
Bayesian?
No, Bayesian
get for the other one?
Or is that even
Okay,
something
so
I need
this
to
is
worry
for
about?
positive,
No,
which is
totally
I just
separate.
did
It's
negative.
a whole interesting thing.
negative
It sounds fascinating.
0.54.
Wait, I didn't get that.
So
On
much
here,
math.
yeah, but I'm saying on this list, like when we look at it, it starts to upset, and these are all negative.
Oh, that's because I'm doing it
Negatives
in
with-
I looked on that for the first one
Oh,
too.
what
and I
did
was
you get? I
like,
got a different number
I
than
don't wish I'm doing it in order just in case it's like.
Okay.
I think it's down a little bit.
Yeah, 8.5.
8
Or point
So 9?
Is that 897?
897.
So, look at,
But yours is different. Yours is
Wait,
89.
for-
Yours is 854.
right,
Oh wait, you have 10 items in there.
right. Cause those are all the negatives.
I got 8.54.
No, it's almost 55.
Was only 55. Positive, yep.
So is there?
Yep.
She has all.
854 for negative.
Yeah.
So what did you get? Oh, you're doing,
I'm totally good. So
I
I've
don't even
done
have 10
everything with her in
items.
terms of like what
Well, you're
we
doing-
have to do, but we're taking her stats,
Yeah,
right?
this was my negative
So
one.
this is negative, yeah, 854.
no,
How many people
you are
how many
doing
people have done all-
understand
Scroll
life's
up. You have
meaning.
one left.
One
Yeah,
left?
scroll up.
So what's that?
Looking for, so this is search, the other one is
Should we record
understanding
these?
life's meaning. So if
Should we
we're
write
looking
these
at that-
down, or?
So these are positive and negative affects, that's what I was looking at. But if we're looking at
But what was that?
understanding life's meaning, clear sense of purpose,
Wait, I have the same number as you though.
Right.
Oh yeah, so this is right.
Right, and then the other one was searching, so I am looking for life's meaning, that's point
So we just got some.
915.
Yes.
915, yeah,
Okay.
you got that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was looking at positive and negative affects.
Oh, you were
That was-
comparing
that was-
them?
Yeah. I was
For
just looking
negative?
at
Is that what we're supposed to be doing now?
I mean, I did all four.
I love how excited you are, like, it seems like you're getting it, and you're doing a great job.
God, I'm trying so hard. So now we're comparing all of them?
Calculator?
Now we're trying to figure out why there's an outlier with the .797, try to figure out what's going on here, and I think probably strong is one of them, because nothing over here is there's 1.4 and 1.5 crowds determined.
Oh, you're going back up here and looking at
Yeah,
the thing.
so we're,
Oh, okay,
why
okay.
is there an outlier? Why is this kind of like on the edge? Why is this not 0.8 or above for the
During the
Chromebacks?
other.
Can I have you touch you for a second?
Yes.
Was we had
Okay.
calculations for
So, in the lab report,
He wrote down.
calculations.
do you see where it has the convex alpha for the
I saw them, there's really a-
300 was 0.89?
Yeah, that's where.
Yes.
So
That's,
is this
that's the kind of thing you would have at
So
the
for
end of,
example, it should look like.
at the end of like
I'm just
your
gonna walk.
positive affect, your negative affect, and your presence, and you would have, so for,
Purpose R.
so you're gonna have positive and
Okay.
negative affect paragraph.
So what?
You'll
Make
have
sure
the
we
convex
do
alpha
what?
for the positive
Like, click
affect,
that one instead of
convex alpha
the-
for
Oh,
the
there's a
negative
clear purpose
affect.
that says.
Okay.
So
Can you say that one more time?
Needs a
Okay,
number?
okay.
Huh?
Do we just need the number?
Just say what the number
Yeah.
is, yep. And then you're gonna tag it by saying,
Yeah.
this one says indicating
So
good
like,
internal
oh, so what- yeah,
consistency,
so yeah,
right?
you would
Because
just
it's above 0.8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
But because we have got 0.797 for the positive affect, it's not good internal consistency, it's marginal, right? So anything that's right at 0.80, around there, it's a 0.80. If it's below, considerably below, it would be poor or weak internal consistency. So so if you finish all of them, you'll see that the only thing that's marginal is the positive affect. Everything else is good or strong internal consistency.
And now, since it is marginal, do we say like why we surmise
Not
that?
in the results section, in the discussion.
Okay.
So we're gonna talk about that in a second. The results section is just pure report, it should not have any interpretation.
Okay.
Okay, we're doing that both separately, right?
Sherry, do you have a question?
Separately? I think it is separate. Okay, I took.
So all of this
So we're doing
goes
something
out
for
to
this
the
outlet?
Yeah, so we're only doing these.
So why do you think strong is so messing with everything?
Because I think that strong is also associated with like your strength to get through negative things.
But as according to these numbers, why do you think that?
Well, okay, so why I think that's strong is if you see it's like nothing is really above 0.4. There's like 2 instances where it's above 0.4, and that's usually what they
Oh,
say is,
I
like,
see what you mean. I see what you mean. But there's a lot of them now.
Yeah, but like most of this is below 0.4. I think a lot of it like
Do we want it below 0.4 or
we
above?
want it above 0.4. So with active doesn't necessarily mean that one needs to be positive. You know, you can be active and doing things, but also
Yeah, but all the active people are way under 0.4.
right. That's what I'm saying. So I think that active and strong they're not necessarily like associated with positive affect, right? Like you can be active and like doing a lot of things in your life that don't necessarily correlate with feeling good.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like you could be active in the treatment of, or say you have a family member that has cancer, you're active in their life. So yeah, you are active, but
Oh, you mean like
it's
the
not
interpretation of the
right,
word
the way
active?
someone would interpret the word active or the word strong. Like you could say,
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
staying
yeah.
strong because
Yeah,
everything else in my life is
That's
shit.
actually how I interpreted it. I was like, yes, I'm strong.
Right, exactly.
But active, no, I don't move a lot.
Right.
That's like what it said.
Yes.
So
I'm strong, I get through it, but I don't do anything. Right.
Okay.
So
I think we have to move on. You're almost done?
but active and strong do correlate over 0.4.
Raise your hands, all 4
if you were to
alphas.
look at
What are we raising hands about?
All 4 alphas done?
All 4
You have
alphas?
positive affect alpha and negative affect
search
alpha.
positive.
Yes.
negative.
Meaning in life search, meaning in life presence.
Yes.
Yes? Almost there? Okay. We're gonna have to go a little.
in that case, I mean, yeah, they do correlate with each other, but on everything else, any other
If
positive affect,
you want to,
it doesn't
at
really
this point,
correlate.
you've
So I
got
think the
time
people that are
to
associating strong
massage
affect
your little,
Makes my life
are not
result,
taking
your
it.
little methods paragraph, because remember, you're gonna
Um,
make sure in that methods
I'm always
paragraph,
looking to find.
for your measure, okay, that
I'm
you
always searching.
named the measure, you cited the source, you said it's an established,
Yeah, I'm
demonstrated
seeking
measure,
permission from
and then at the end, you're gonna add the alpha for our actual measure.
If not, just like 1, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And what are we using for the source? I guess would it be like
Sources, I gave you the source documents, and you can cite it on the measure, so Stager
Who's doing it too?
is
Okay.
the Canis, and so you'll see in the
I don't know about temper.
there's the Stager article,
Huge.
and then, for the MLQ, I think it's.
Are you guys talking about the negative ones?
Okay, I was just wondering as far as like, because we got the data from this, whether we should cite like our class and the other
The
class.
measure itself was created by them.
You got it, okay.
What you're saying is that they created the measure, you're giving them credit.
So we
this is
are
beautiful.
basing our studies off of, or our data off of theirs.
Exactly.
Okay,
Just citing the source.
gotcha.
Okay, so let's talk about this, you guys. Now we're gonna start
Why did this
critiquing
little
our
arrow
study.
pop up over here?
All right,
If you
so
click
now
it,
we
it
have
just-
our alphas,
Sorry.
and I think we did a good job. You know, I chose for you. We've got
Oh, you have a
good,
bunch of
reliable instruments,
Wherever you click.
right? So we operationalize our variables. These instruments, if we look at the source documents, have good validity, meaning that the people who made them, Stager and what's his name, they demonstrated they're measuring what they say they're gonna measure, and they're consistently hitting that target. And we've got not so much error in our own sample. I'm a little bit concerned that the positive affect is marginal, right? 0.797, it's right at 0.80, it's marginal. As a rule, folks, in APA style, we round everything up to two decimals except for p values, right? So we could round this up to 0.80, it's still marginal, right? So in your reports, put 0.80, but we are gonna talk about this as it's not been demonstrating good internal consistency, it's marginal, skating the line. Why do you think that is? I have an idea, but I'm curious as to what you think.
I mean, we were just discussing this, how would you define strong and active? Strong could be whether you withstand negative things in your life and you're like, okay, yep, getting
Yeah.
through it, right?
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Like, when I looked at the list of positive adjectives, and then I looked at the list of negative adjectives, I felt like there was the positive active adjectives had much more room for individual interpretation about what they meant, whereas I thought that the negative adjectives, they were all negative, and more definitely negative. I felt like there was less variability in terms of people's understanding of what we were asking. I also thought, I didn't know whether, like, I agreed that all the negative adjectives were negative, but I wasn't sure whether I agreed that all the positive adjectives were necessarily positive. For example, alert. Well, yeah, alertness is a positive thing, but is it an emotion? Is it affect? Like, I don't personally, I have issues with this measure in that respect.
Yeah.
Like I had my boyfriend fill it out. He did it when he was sick, and he said that being sick completely changed his answers because things like distressed, like he was like, I'm infinitely more distressed this week having COVID
Yes.
than I've been
Yeah.
in months, and he was less alert, but he wasn't any less inspired or he was
That's a
any more
great point.
guilty or
So some of
anything.
some of those adjectives might have been more vulnerable to circumstantial influence. And that's why you'll see, like, this PANIS, if you look at the retest reliability of the instrument, it's not very stable over a long period of time. I mean, think about it, our emotions are pretty labile, right? And so this is asking over the last week. Like, the PANIS does not have good internal reliability, retest reliability over like a month or a year, right?
I was just, because alert would, if someone has PTSD, right, they have more cortisol in their system.
Right,
So they're gonna be alert at all
They're gonna be
times.
hypervigilant. For them, that's a negative.
Right.
Like alert, like I'm paying attention to my work, or
Right.
alert, like I think something's happening.
Like,
Yeah,
everything
I-
is happening all at once. What's
Alert
going
could be a
on?
negative thing, especially if somebody has.
They also
PTSD.
have a tentative in here, so it's like if you're alert, are you not attentive? Like, is
Right.
that not the same?
So some of
like,
it could have
so-
been literally misunderstanding words, but I don't think the vocabulary is more difficult on one list than the other. I just think that there's more individual interpretation of the word meanings on one list than the other, and also some of the positive words could be interpreted in negative or non-positive ways.
Right.
So all of that is a way that we might want to explain why we think we have some limited construct validity in our study, right? And all of this can go in your discussion section. So we don't get into the weeds of interpreting things in our results section or in the methods section. But there's a section of your discussion, right, where you need to talk about 2 strengths of the study and 2 limitations of the study. Well, here we have a limitation, folks. We've got marginal reliability of the positive affect scale, right? And then you want to talk about how that means that it limits the construct validity. So construct validity isn't like you got it or you don't. Remember, we're talking about it's strong or it's weak. Like, where are you on that continuum? One aspect of it is reliability. We've definitely got some limited reliability here. And then you'll want to interpret in a few sentences, like, what do you think the source of that was? And this is really good ammunition for making a case that maybe that positive affect adjective list isn't as strong as it could be. Yeah? I would also make the case that the scale from 1 to 5, like that 1 to 5, it doesn't include the absence of those emotions, so we can't say anything about absence of emotions. Does that make sense?
So wait, does not at all not count for that?
Well, look at the scale. It collapses. 1 is sometimes or rarely, or not.
Or not at all and rarely.
Not at all and rarely, right? So,
Right.
so like if you really wanted to be able to talk about the absence of positive emotions, the absence of negative emotions, you have to disentangle the 2 and have 1 be
Very
never
slightly,
and
not
2
at
be
all.
slightly,
Okay.
right? And so I would say that this scale is also limited in terms of its validity, right? In that it is missing the boat on one aspect of affect, which is the not at all. So we can infer nothing about not at all from this data. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay? All right, so now you're gonna see I'm gonna be going back and forth between analysis and discussion now. We good? All right, so we are now done with that. Let's analyze data. So let's look at the punchline. Let's get our results, and then we'll go back and get the participant information. All right, so really what we wanna do is we wanna look at the average, positive affect, negative affect, presence of life meaning, and search in life meaning, right, for everybody. So let's look at them in turn. I'm gonna do it with the satisfaction with life, and then you're going to do it for yourselves, right? We're going to look at each of them in turn, and then we're gonna create a table that you're gonna use in your results to summarize everything. All right, so. All right, so I'm gonna go to analyze, and now I'm going to go to descriptive statistics. And you see where it has frequency and descriptives? Frequencies is for anything that's nominal. So for example, if we wanted to look at the numbers of males and females, I would use frequencies. But anything that's a scale item, I'm gonna do descriptives. So for our variables, they're scaled, right? So I'm gonna choose descriptives. And I'll just do satisfaction with life so I can show you. So satisfaction with life, I'm gonna choose my variable. Let's see if there are any options here. I'm gonna do mean, standard deviation, minimum and maximum so I can show everything that I'm seeing. So I'm just gonna use the defaults, and I'm gonna click OK. It's gonna be really straightforward. So you guys, compared to what we've been doing, this is so stupid, see? All right, so now, it's showing me that for satisfaction with life, the minimum score in my data set was a 1. That means that that's good because nobody could score lower than a 1, right? And I did have somebody who was elated with their life, so at least one person said 7, right? And then I've got the mean, which is 4.43. Remember, 437, I'm gonna round up, so this is gonna be 4.44, all right? And the standard deviation is 1.29, all right? So now I just got to think, well, on that scale of 1 to 7, what does a 4.44 mean? On average, were people extremely satisfied with their lives, somewhat satisfied with their lives, somewhat not satisfied with their lives? How would we interpret that? Slightly satisfied, right, because it's a little bit, on the scale of 1 to 7, 3.5 is in the middle. So 4.4 slightly satisfied. I would say if somebody was a 5 or a 6, they're moderately satisfied. If they're 7, they're extremely satisfied, right? So I'm gonna add some language here to make a meaning of the numbers, right? But there's quite a bit of variability here, right? So the standard deviation of 1.29 means that 66% of the samples of one standard deviation above and below that. That means that that's quite a lot of variability, right? Meaning that not everybody's rated. We can actually look at it. So if I really want to look at what this looks like, I can go to analyze and descriptive statistics.
If the variability all lies on the positive side, like with
Yeah, well, let's look at the distribution. I'm gonna go to see this explore. I'm gonna go to explore.
Take out this one.
And I'm gonna do satisfaction with life explore.
Yeah.
And for plots, I'm gonna ask for a histogram, right? Do you see what I did? So I did.
Wait, can you go
I
one?
did analyze, just analyze, oopsie. You go back. I'm doing analyze, descriptive statistics, and instead of the descriptives, I'm doing explore, right? And so now I'm gonna do a plot, I'm gonna do a histogram. I wanna see what this distribution looks like, right?
We're not putting anything in there? Oh, okay.
You can also add the stem, keep the stem and leave it in. And then click continue, right? And you see where it says label cases by? This is where it's really nice. If you have that ID number, you can like label, you can look at outliers here. All right, so if you label the cases by ID, it'll show you the ID numbers of the people who are like odd, right? All right, and then I can click OK. And then it's gonna give me, oh, it just got digested, okay. All right, so now I've got beautiful art. I'm not gonna use any of this beautiful art in my lab report. I'm just using this for me to understand what I'm finding, right? And so, this is for me to, and really what I'm gonna understand is that, how well that mean is summarizing things and how variable people are. And what this is showing me, if I look at this histogram, I actually have a pretty much a normal distribution, right? Cool. People are just on average like slightly above the 3.5 mark, right, so it's slightly negatively skewed, right, in terms of people, more people being satisfied than not satisfied, right? And I just have a couple of outliers of people, these I'm really worried, like, these, if we had asked any clinical questions in this, had to go through IRB for, right, I would be concerned about these folks who are scoring ones, right, not satisfied all of their life. But for the most part, most people were satisfied with their life to some extent. Does that make sense? Okay, so really what I'm looking for is, how am I gonna summarize that average number in terms of what it means? And then how much variable does it look like I have here? I don't have like everybody bunched up here where like nobody's not satisfied, right? There was people ranged from being not satisfied at all to being extremely satisfied, right? And there was a pretty much normal distribution. Does that make sense? Okay, so now you're gonna do that for your 4 variables: positive affect, negative affect, presence in life, and searching. Presence of meaning life and searching in meaning life. And then, what I want you to do is now do that so you can understand the numbers. So you're gonna get the means and the standard deviations. And then we're gonna create a beautiful table, right? So that instead of reporting numbers, you're gonna have a table to report it, and all you'll do is explain what it says in the text.
So it's still the ID for lowercase y?
Yeah.
And then it's still like the same, like it can still go.
Yep, you're just gonna do, so you're gonna do the explore.
Do one for each one, or can we
For
add
each
each one to the time?
You can do them all at once. I just highly discourage you from doing it. It's too much information at once when you're trying to learn to use CSS.
Shit, which one did I just do? Oh, okay.
No,
Excuse me?
do one for each.
That's okay.
I'm nervous. I feel like I understand this, so that means I'm doing it wrong, you know?
So we're doing this, right?
No, now you're using the variables. Okay, so instead of the items, you're gonna use the variables. So
Because over here,
so reset that, and now we're gonna talk about the variables in your study are positive affect. Remember I was using this just for. So you want to go to the positive affect and negative affect.
Because that's the problem.
Yeah, they're all of your variables at the end. Okay. Positive affect, and then negative affect, and then clear purpose, and
About what?
then. I'm sorry. The presence, do them one at a time.
That's what I was.
Did everybody do theirs? I'm gonna make sure my numbers are right.
Wait, so what did you do? You just positive or you
Did you choose the positive aspect?
Yeah, I just did positive affect, and then I just did negative affect.
Yep.
And then I just did
Just leave those options as well.
Okay, right.
And then just, and then do the same for negative.
I mean, I didn't reset.
And then you can do explore for each one too, to look at the.
I was doing it along with her when she was doing that there, and my numbers were the same, so I think.
Now you're looking, oh, it's perfect. So now, is this positive, now you
which
wanna do
one?
this for positive affect and negative affect, so do the same
Positive?
thing. For this you can save, you don't have, it's not gonna be in the lab report.
Oh.
But you can save it.
Oh, 34.38.
Analyze.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
you go to explore and choose positive affect instead of satisfaction of life.
I got 90.
And then do the same thing for negative.
That's why I was going.
Girl.
Plots. Plots.
Hey, you know what I was just doing? Actually, I don't know if it makes a difference,
No,
but I
not
was doing it straight from that other page.
Descriptives. But actually do explore.
I'm just doing it so I like.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
Analyze descriptors.
I also am curious though, is that's not gonna have an effect on the actual, that I didn't do it here, right?
It should.
She was doing it there, so I thought it'd be fine. What did you just do, negative?
So you want presence, but negative is mean 22.25.
Yeah, and the
Presence is 2, yep. And then what'd you get for your Prezi?
Okay.
Wait, also
4.7.
Beautiful. And the last one I got 4.56. I'm sorry, I'm so dyslexic.
So what is the
Oh my god.
right? What, on the scale of what the possible scores were? What is the standard deviation?
4.5.
What is it?
Beautiful! Wow.
Does it look like, this looks like not a lot of people have this. Right, so we did have
Yes.
a lot of people go score very high. So minimum score is 10, nobody was very low.
That was crazy.
Right?
I kinda
Very
like math.
few were very high.
I like it a lot. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I love math, I just can't do it.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
very
that there are
hard.
people who are good at it.
Yes.
I want them to do it, and then can explain it to me.
So we're just showing all this.
But I always notice the people,
Describing what
the people who are so good at math, like they're always like a little like ADHD, like a little out there. You know what I mean? Like they're hard to like tell you what's going on in their mind. You know? It's like the genius, I think. Oh, those are so cool.
Oh, is it, wait, so what's, oh, okay.
Did you hear Ash finally completed his journey?
Who's that?
Ash, yeah. Well, I
Okay,
mean,
guys, I just made an
I said like
executive
last year he
decision.
finally.
We're
did
good,
it.
I'm gonna bump the draft to
What are you
be due
doing
in the
here?
middle of next week. I
I have
wanted
no
to
idea
keep
what
it due on Sunday, just to keep things organized, but I'm gonna do it next Wednesday.
What?
So that we've got time, because I just don't wanna plow through this, right?
What are you doing next month?
I'm gonna make the draft due Wednesday.
Oh, the lab?
The lab.
Oh, fantastic.
Alright, just because I want you to know what you're talking about.
Thank you. So, in case she wants us to go do what we just did for, are you watching?
We'll find out.
No, I wasn't. I was trying to make sure that I was able to get it on here so that I can write the lab report.
Alright, so we did, we go box, histogram it, continue, labeling the cases by ID,
October just started.
and then we're okaying it. And then it should give you a whole bunch of stuff. Good to do it? No?
Probably not.
Let's try it again. I don't know, what's here? Sorry.
Wait, what do you think your message is? Search?
What? Where's that search right?
Search.
I'm not something wrong here. 5% leave.
So you're 230, you're 38. Yeah, well, let's
Okay, there you go.
For what?
Here's your posi. Let me see if it matches my posi.
We didn't do just for what?
Oh, this one.
We're twinning. What's your birthday?
Oh, okay.
There. And
Wait, what? November 2nd.
Oh, it's coming out.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay. And then we have to do a search.
So then the next one, she wanted us to do negative, so I just pulled it. So basically, you're just doing that exactly. Now you can just press OK and it's gonna do that, and just go back to that stupid analyze thing. Like I'll let you do it, but the next one you have to do for presence and for search. So just take that out, put it back there.
For every mean number, right? So the mean for every one of your variables,
Out of the
write down
mean,
what
it's
it
okay.
means in plain language. Does it mean that people had moderately high negative affect, slightly low negative affect? What does it mean? And then for the standard deviation, look at the histogram and the STEM for information about what it means. Does that standard deviation of 1.79 mean that people were spread out all over the place, where like an equal number of people had positive, highly positive, and highly negative affect? Or did most people have moderately to high positive affect with just a few people having low negative affect?
Yes,
You want a couple of sentences there to make sense of the numbers that you're going to be reporting in a table. Does that make sense? That's going to go straight into your lab report, right?
I'm recording this.
Oh, sorry, that's good.
The one that we seem to be missing was the search.
But it will be an hour and a half. She did say a lot of words.
Yeah. I was trying to get that thing where you
I wasn't here on this, probably not.
on your laptop outside of.
I've been talking to her about that after.
Oh, I already got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I got it. That's why I was like, okay,
Oh, that's
I'm
what you're
gonna do
making.
that. Yeah.
The lowest average is people.
And you're going to call it NLQ, okay.
So most people are feeling,
And no.
or they're experiencing higher degrees of positive affect. That's like what you were able to.
Okay, and then you're gonna say, the average and put it on.
Not that one.
That makes sense.
I think it was the average. See the label cases by, yeah, right there.
So, I actually recorded both
I think it was the
this
average.
class and last class. If,
So that,
yeah, okay, so if anybody needs it, I have like my camera pointed right at the screen, so you can see like what she's doing, you know? So I'll send it, and I don't even know where I can send a file that big.
Oh, and your MacBook.
Probably an email.
You know?
Okay, alright.
It's the average, and your kids' ones are wrong too.
So
because I
the
think
only
you
thing
just-
that we need really is
I think you
this
did-
calculation,
You're gonna have to
not
replace it.
like.
Don't need the graph,
Should be the
yeah, we need the
average,
mean
right?
and the
So
standard.
and then you're
Those
gonna-
ones.
The graph
Yeah.
itself is not important.
Right,
But it is
this,
interesting to see the outliers
like,
there.
we're not gonna need this at all.
So ignore the
Well,
present ones.
With
just
the-
to generate all the
Just
data.
generate,
you-
okay.
And then you calculate the
That's my
presence
question.
one because you.
Guys, can we get a little
What I
like
would do
the,
though, she does say, if you go to that output page, you already close it.
Well,
You know, I'm always looking to find my life's purpose.
So if you go, she hasn't explained it yet, but she's going to.
I'm always searching for something that makes my life feel significant.
And export, you can,
Probably. No, that's.
you can get it as like a Word doc with all of that, so you can still have it to see.
How about this one? Yeah,
will I be able to open that little
How
window
about try this one?
without the SPS on a computer, or is that also part of SPS? Yeah, that it will
So
open.
if you export it as a Word doc,
Oh, you figured out how to do it.
if you export it as a Word doc, you can view it without SPS.
Now, what's gonna be funky is if it's in, you're gonna change it to landscape, because it makes a Word document that's in
Oh, it's like
portrait and everything can be all white.
Would it make like export? Well,
So you want, when you open, you can change the view.
how do I do that?
Well, I'll show you, I'm gonna show everybody at once later.
Okay, okay.
Let me show you how to cut and paste that.
Oh, it says I'm always.
Yeah, don't just listen to me.
But
But yeah.
you are
so-
very smart though.
Yeah, no, he's very high.
Oh no, it does say Word doc at the top anyway.
Sorry, you're in
Oh,
trouble.
wait,
You guys, what you're doing
it says
now is you're
Word
getting
doc,
to
yeah.
know your
Mhm.
data.
Mhm.
And this is really,
Okay.
really important. Before we would ever test a hypothesis, so like this descriptive study, we don't have a hypothesis, right? But if we were testing a hypothesis, before we ever get to the point where we do a t-test or correlations or anything to test our hypothesis, we need to know our data, right? We need to know what the distributions are like. If we've got some oddball folks that are outliers, we need to know that, so we could look at maybe the analyses with and without them, which, to be honest, we would report both with and without them. But it's really important that you do this homework to descriptively understand what you're seeing and know that you understand the numbers, that you yourself can put meaning to those numbers.
I so you're recording that, perfect.
I'm actually gonna like save it and send it to myself as a normal thing first.
I got it.
There's like a,
This is a lot.
So you thought this was a lot? Monday was crack.
Really?
Yeah.
the longest time.
So read presence.
And that one explained.
Okay, so you're good. Okay. So the numbers are much better. So you see how much, but you know what, now you've taught us.
Definitely, this is
And
really,
once
it's
I
really
learned,
helpful.
But we
Uh,
spent the entire
curl
time
is
cleaning the
like-
data.
Figuring out like how to work this entire.
How to
yeah.
make the
It was always
variables.
short because I thought
Absolutely.
I just didn't want to deal with it. And over COVID,
Okay.
Where are you going?
Oh, I have a funeral
So
after.
this is me.
Oh, no, it's my friend's father.
Well, you're being a good friend.
Yeah. I was the one that made the funeral arrangements for her, so. It was like.
Where is it?
How are you guys
It's in
doing?
Stanford.
I'm gonna try to
Finished
save
all the
this.
analysis?
Yeah.
Awesome, okay. So do you feel like you've got a good understanding of what you're seeing? Great, I think that we've got a really healthy sample.
We're really.
I understand my life possible, and then filling up the paper with
Yeah.
like every one there. So then it's like you've looked at it from every angle.
Right, and actually, you're gonna be surprised at how little we're gonna report.
I
have a good sense
like
of what.
I'm gonna work on. I know it's not due to Wednesday.
Right.
I just.
I can look at
do as
some.
much work as
Yeah,
possible.
yeah, absolutely. I want people to do that. So take a look, right now, take a look at the results section, the draft results section in the template, so you can see
Yeah.
how we're gonna be doing this. And the last thing I'm gonna show you guys how to do is make a table.
Yeah.
Make this,
I don't want to try.
Good luck, mamas.
I gotta go. Today is that thing. It's my friend's father.
But still.
You look so pretty.
Thanks.
Are you gonna wear that?
No, absolutely not. But I don't want to come in like all.
I saw a really crazy thing online, and it was like this guy and his tattoo artist would rent him out for weddings and for funerals. What a crazy idea, right?
I love that. That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay. If I missed anything, please.
I got you.
Okay.
Good luck.
Okay, so now at this point,
Where am I starting?
everybody should have analyzed all 4 of the variables. So we've got the two affect variables, positive and negative affect, and the 2 meaning and life variables, the presence and the search. And you should have a sense of like how much of each we're seeing in this sample, right? Let me show you how to make a table. Because, hold on, let me just show you what's this. All right, if you look at the results section, right? I have a sample results section here. You're gonna have a paragraph and then a table. I'm gonna show you how to make the table in a second. The results section is super short, right? So first we're gonna remind the reader what people did. We asked people to self-report. So like this is saying chocolate, happiness, and stress. We asked people to self-report on their positive affect, negative affect, life meaning presence, and life meaning search, right? And then we're going to refer to a table. We are going to be nice to the reader, and we are not going to put a bunch of numbers in the paragraph, right? We're going to put everything into a table. So we're going to say the descriptive statistics for all variables are reported in table 1. Table 1 table is capitalized with the number 1, right? And then you're just going to say everything that you just summarized, right, about the means and what the means mean. So on average, people were moderately happy, with most people in the somewhat to moderately happy, but very few people saying that they were low on positive affect. You know, whatever you're seeing in terms of the means and the range, you're going to summarize in plain English with no numbers here, because the numbers are going to be in the table. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make the table in a minute. All right, so we're going to have the mean, and all we're going to end up having really is the n, the mean, and the standard deviation in our table. So your table is going to actually look cleaner than this, right? And so what you're doing in that paragraph is summarizing what these mean, right? What the averages mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you how to make a table. This is the only thing numerically that you're actually going to put into your lab report, and it's going to be called Table 1, right? The only table. So if I go back into SPSS, I can go to Analyze, and I can go to, hold on, let me just do this for myself to make sure I'm remembering this right. Don't copy me yet, because I always forget one little piece here. I'm gonna try to put everything into one table. Okay. So you're going to go to Analyze, and we're just going to do Descriptive Statistics, Descriptive. And then choose all of the 4 variables, positive affect, negative affect, MLQ presence, and ML. This should actually be ML presence and ML search, because it's meaning and life presence, meaning like searchables.
What about satisfaction with life?
Remember, that's not part of your lab. I was just using that.
Not?
I was just using that for demonstration purposes. Your lab is just focusing on positive affect, negative affect, and meaning and life.
Okay, thank you.
All right, once you've got that, then go to options and take out the minimum and maximum. So we've just got standard deviation and mean.
Wait, what did you click? Options?
Options, yep. So I've got mean and standard deviation, and I'm leaving the display order.
Okay.
And then I'm going to click continue. And then I get this nice little table, but it's not in APA format. So this table is summarizing everything that we just saw in those individual exploratory analyses in a nice succinct table. And I want to be able to just cut and paste that into my report, but it's not an APA style. So yay raw, double click on it. You go into this edit mode here, right? And what I want to do first is I want to go up to this pivot. So I double clicked on the table, go into the pivot here, and say transpose rows and columns. And so now I've got my variables across the top, and I've got my statistics going down the left. Did everybody get that?
Say that one more time.
So I went into the pivot, and I said transpose rows, right? So now I'm almost in APA format. I'm not quite there yet, right? Now I need to make the headers and everything in APA format. So now I'm going to do format, and I'm gonna go to table looks, and I'm gonna choose APA times New Roman 12 point. It's an APA format.
Oh.
Isn't that nice? I just got a little bit more here. See where it says descriptive statistics here? That's not enough for the table header.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do format. Hold on a second. Go to format first, okay? So does everybody have their APA style table now? Everybody with me? Okay. Go to format, right? And now go to, I think it's cell properties. All right, I'm just gonna X out of this, and then I'm gonna go back in. All right, for some reason, I was clicking right, I messed it up. All right, I'm gonna go back to format, I'm gonna go to cell properties. All right, now.
Just for the heading or the whole thing?
No, what I'm trying to do is have it do only 2 decimal places. What I can do is I can go into each cell and do the decimal places, but there's a place where, okay, cell format.
If you go back to that, where you were,
Where I was,
under format and cell properties,
format, cell properties.
and then it's format values, the top left.
Oh, sorry, that's what I was looking for, thank you. All right, I want only 2 decimal places.
Okay, where'd you go for that?
All right, so let's just make sure it worked. Nope, that didn't work.
I think you don't have that part highlighted though. Does that matter?
Probably. Okay.
I have the whole thing highlighted. Will that matter? Okay.
Does it matter?
What does what matter? Yeah, okay. Highlight all the numbers in the highlight all the numbers, right? And then go to format and go to cell properties and click on format value and make it 2 decimal places. So I
Where?
highlighted
Oh,
all
I
the
see.
numbers, then I went to format, then I went to cell properties, and down at the bottom I clicked it to 2.
Oh.
And now it's rounded everything. So I don't have to tediously go cell by cell. Okay, there's only one more thing I have to do. And that is, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out of it again and then go back in because it's just being blocky. I have to give it a meaningful descriptor. So I double clicked on descriptive statistics here. Descriptive statistics of what? So I have to say descriptive statistics for, and then I'm gonna say all my variables, all right? Positive, affect, negative, affect.
Are you putting like commas? Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Or you know what you can even do to make it shorter? Descriptive statistics for affect, let's say affect and life meaning, just because that's gonna keep it succinct, because we've got the different dimensions in here. Life meaning. We could even say for dimensions, or
So we would never put commas in the
No,
top?
well, because this isn't.
Yeah, no, but if we, you know?
We shouldn't ever need commas in here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm calling it descriptive statistics for dimensions of affect and life meaning, right? And then the last thing I'm gonna do, if I can, is I'm gonna double click on this MLQ presence. Take that Q out. I just say ML presence, and take the Q out of the search, double click on that, and take, because the MLQ is the measure, the construct is meaning in life.
Wait, how did you get that?
I just double clicked.
Oh.
And then there, do you see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
So to change something, I just double click on it, and then I've got an editing window. Are people with me?
Yes.
Wait, what are we taking out?
The Q.
Keep the Q, because
The
the
Q.
Q refers to the questionnaire, not the construct.
Okay.
Right? Okay, and then, because I am using an abbreviation here, ML, in my measure section where I introduced this construct, I need to define that as ML as the abbreviation for meaning in life. I could even put PA and NA here if I had defined those in the measure section, but I can't use any terms here that haven't been defined in my measure section. Does that make sense? Right, and is that beautiful? No going in and having to make tables. So now everybody, save that, and then click on it in the output window, and copy and paste it into a Word document. There's your table.
So if we just X out of this, it will stay beautiful.
Yes. And now I'm gonna go into my Word document, and you should be able to just cut and paste it into a Word document, preserving all the beautiful formatting. Yes, isn't that gorgeous? Okay, the only thing that's missing here is I have to have a table header. So above this, I'm gonna have to put table 1 in bold with a period, right? Just the way I illustrated up here in my sample. So I would do right, and that's the table.
I'm completely lost.
Can you hold on? I'll help you right after class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bang.
Okay, let me just get people going on something.
When you copy and pasted that, did it just paste the line?
Okay, that's that.
The line is not.
I Central V'd it. Control V, sorry.
Go out, no, you gotta go out of the editing, yeah, into that.
Okay.
Okay, folks, what we've done is we're almost done. The only thing that's left for the lab report, and I'm gonna save this for Monday, because I think we're all had enough of SPSS for now, is the information about your participants for the participant section, right? But right now, you've got everything that you need to do the lab report, to work on a draft. Again, I'm gonna make the draft due Wednesday, right? Because we're just gonna get that participant information, and I wanna be able to ask questions, answer questions. I wanna talk a little bit about the discussion, okay? So remember, in the discussion section, the first thing you're gonna do is just summarize what we found. So remember, like, with respect to the question, big question we're asking is, how is the subjective well-being of adults in general, right? And specifically related to affect and meaning in life, right? And so you're gonna summarize, like, in general, people seem to have a lot of positive affect, a lot of negative affect? Do people seem to have a clear sense of the purpose in their life, or do they seem to be really searching, or both? What do you see? And then you're gonna connect that back to prior research in terms of why it's important to understand this, what are the implications of this. That's gonna be one good paragraph, one meaty paragraph. In relating it back to what we already know, you should be citing some of the sources that we already have looked at. The next section is strengths and limitations of our own study, right, with respect to validity. Remember that with respect to validity, this is a descriptive study, so internal validity is irrelevant. Do not discuss internal validity, because internal validity is only relevant when we're looking at the association correlationally or causally between two or more variables. Right, so that's off the table. What we really need to be talking about is external validity and construct validity here, and statistical conclusion validity, right? So we already know one strength of the construct validity of the study. What's a strength of the construct validity of the study?
The Cronbach's alpha is good?
Yeah, in general, we had good Cronbach's alphas. So in general, one strength is that we used established, well-validated measures of the constructs, so we knew they were valid. And in general, the most measures were reliable, right? However, what's one limitation of the construct work? Positive affect. We seem to have marginal consistency on that measure, and you can talk about why. Okay. Think about external validity. How do we sample people?
Randomly?
No, not randomly.
Yeah,
So glad you used that word. Randomly would mean that I had a list of all the people, all the adults in the world, and I randomly selected people. We use what's called convenience sampling. We conveniently sample people in our own lives, right? Which means that we may have bias in our sample, right? And we'll see that loud and clear when we look at the demographics on Monday, right? But we did not use random sampling. We could potentially have a biased sample, right? And so we'll know about the specifics of that on Monday, like how biased it is, potentially like do we have many more males, females, do we undersample certain people, certain ethnic groups? But a good strength is our sample size, right? So with respect to our external validity, we have a good sample size. Okay? And so we'll be able to flesh those out on Monday. You can start working on the next steps. The final section before your conclusion is, where would you go from here? What would be interesting to look at in terms of something that correlates, some behavior, something that people do, like awe experiences, or belonging to clubs, or meditation, self-care, all of the things that we've read about, like what could be associated with higher or lower levels on these or other aspects of subjective well-being, right? What would you want to look at in terms of a correlational study? Does that make sense? There you should cite a source. So you need to make a small evidence-based argument, right? So you should find a source that suggests that something you do, like meditation, might actually be good for you in some way, right? And to make a case for why looking at it in relation to, for example, meaning in life would be important. So maybe if a prior study showed that meditation enhances people's sense of well-being, then does it also improve their meaning in life? Right? Does that make sense? All right, so one correlational question with a new source to support what we were saying, and then one causal question, right? If people actually, do more yoga, for example, would they have a more positive affect, or a better sense of more positive affect and less negative affect compared to people who do a different type of exercise or didn't do yoga, right? Do you see how that's a causal question?
Wait, you say that one more time?
Right, so one correlational question and one causal question. So for example, a causal question might be whether or not yoga actually positively impacts people's affect, so that people who do yoga actually, it causes them to increase their positive affect compared to people who don't do yoga, right? And again, I'd cite a source to support that. And what you're doing is you're brainstorming for lab 2. You're setting up some questions that you think are interesting, directions that your group might go in for lab 2. And then the final paragraph is just, it's gonna sound really redundant, but it's the tell them what you told them. So it's like, in sum, the purpose of this lab was to examine blah, 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 blah. We found blah, 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 blah. We concluded blah, blah, blah. Future research could blah, right? And by the way, it's gonna be very similar to your abstract, right? The abstract, now you'd be able to write it. It's that 250 word or fewer blurb at the beginning, right? Which is very much like your concluding paragraph, right? You're just gonna add a little bit about the methodology, right? To examine this, we conducted an anonymous Google Forms survey of 96 participants in the researchers' social networks, and then what we found, right? Does that make sense? So give it your best effort. Really work on it over the weekend so we can, I can answer questions on Monday, and we'll get all the descriptors for the participants on Monday. That's going to be so easy compared to what you've been doing. Okay, before I let you go, to save this, if you want to be able to actually look at this in Word format, you can go in your output window. And you
Oh, I
can,
closed everything.
so in your SPSS output window, go to File, and go to Save, Export, Save As. Right? Export, sorry. Go to Export, thank you, Sheree. Right, and we're gonna export it, and I can export it as a Word file, right? So that you can actually open it in Word on your own, right? So I went to File, and I'm going to export, and I can do it as a Word, or I can do it even as a PDF file, right? I would recommend doing it as a Word file because you can cut and paste out of it, right?
What did you do again?
If you do
Save?
that, it's gonna save it as a Word doc, and when you open it, you're gonna have to change it to landscape view instead of portrait view, because it'll be all the layout of the tables will be all gobbledygook.
So it's already in Word doc, right?
It doesn't even show me.
If you want to save things into OneDrive, folks, let me just show you this before we go. Okay, so with OneDrive, you have to go into OneDrive itself, right? So I'm gonna go into OneDrive, and then I'm gonna go into my folders, and I've got like a Sites 393 folder set up.
Oh. I can't export the chart.
All right, so I'm gonna go to
This
where I
thing
wanna
I can't
save it.
export.
So I'm in my Site 193 folder,
Oh, no, it's not very quick.
all right? And then I'm gonna go, is everybody with me? Because you can't drop and drag. If you
Oh, but
try
there
to
is no
save it
Word.
from your desktops, it won't work.
No, not with.
Oh,
So
Excel
go into your
Super is
OneDrive,
probably
then
still.
go to the Add New,
What's that?
and then you're gonna say Upload, File Upload, and then you're gonna choose the file from your desktop to upload
What is this?
into your OneDrive, and then it will upload it into your folder, so it's saved permanently. So again, you go into your
What does this
OneDrive where
mean?
you want it to be, click on Add New, click on File Upload, and then choose the data set and the output file that you want to save, right?
Oh, you know, yeah, that's the old one.
And it will upload it into your OneDrive, so you can then open it from anywhere through My Apps.
Does it matter which Excel?
Excel, I would just do the newest Excel. But
What is that, 2.1?
Yeah, but why are you saving something in Excel?
I don't know, I wanna make sure I have the thing and it won't save in a Word document for some reason.
It
The-
saves in Excel pretty well. I
Yeah.
won't open it.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason mine is,
I couldn't really see it.
For me, he did that pretty good.
So I'm here.
Excel one
Okay,
that
that
saved
one
for me
you
and
can
worked in wasn't the
I was
newest one. It's like
thinking
I think the 2007 or like
I
2010.
put it in
Yeah, that
yeah,
one.
this one works. I just tried it and look what happened.
That was the
She
one
was trying to
that
share it with me too.
worked for me.
She tried to send it via
Like
email,
when
so
I
wouldn't have
emailed
to-
it to myself, I made sure that when once I emailed it, like before I emailed it, I opened it up, like open the attachment and like scrolled through to see if I could go through
Everybody
it.
feeling good?
Do I have to
People are
put
starting
this?
to
What is
pack
that?
up. All right, so you're doing chapter
And then it
6
says can't do it.
Everybody should be working hard on a draft, right? The draft is gonna be due to me on Wednesday. Get as far as you can by Monday so that we can answer substantive questions and you can just plug in all the participant information. And if anybody wants to hang out, I've got time to hang out if anybody was stuck on anything.
Like the last one.
So I didn't get any of that.
Any of the table?
Yeah.
Okay, so go to, Analyze, and go to Descriptive, and go to Descriptive. All right, and now, okay, got everything in there, great. Now go to, Options.
Huh?
Oh my god.
Good. All right, click Continue, and now click OK.
Oh, so.
Now you've got the
Hardcore.
essence of of what's gonna go in the table, but it's not in APA style. So double click on there you go, and then you can close this.
That's alright.
Now go to Pivot
Years old?
and just click on Transpose rows and
God,
columns,
never heard
because
of it.
APA style you have to have with variables across the top. All right, so now we've got that.
Yeah, this is
Now,
all bad.
we need everything to be in just 2 decimal places, so highlight all the numbers, so just highlight it.
This is the lab
Go
data.
to
Where's the table?
Format.
Okay, I think that's everything. And
know for a fact.
go to format value. And do 2 instead of 6. Click OK. There you go, you're almost there. Right now,